Satan is sly, cunning, deceitful, sneaky, devious, and outright evil. However, he first comes to us in an attractive form, using mediums that he knows will attract us. Once we're under his power, he seeks to use us as mediums to carry out his evil tactics against God and humanity. How can we avoid falling into his trap? We're examining the first book of the Bible, Genesis. Yes, it's a nonfiction, but nothing fiction can compare to the drama that unfolds in it. This amazing book begins with God speaking a perfect universe into existence. Then something awful happens. Holy Father, we can become so busy carrying out and doing that which we perceive as good that we wander far from your side. Let us not take even one moment for granted, but help us always recognize our continuous need for you. May we maintain a continual open communications with you throughout our day. May we never get to the point that we feel that we do not need your help. We ask that you walk with us, be our guide daily, hour by hour, moment by moment. In Jesus' name, amen. The key text for this series of lessons is Genesis 3:15. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Are God's commands optional? God in Genesis 2:16 and 17 gave Adam a command. What was that command? And what warning was given if Adam violated that command? And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. In contrast to God's command is Genesis 3:1-6. Satan uses the serpent or the snake as a medium, repeats that command to the woman, Eve, with a change so slight, it could be difficult to recognize it. Here's what happened. Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent says to the woman, you will not surely die. For God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like gods, knowing good and evil. So the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. She took of the fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Did you notice the difference? Is there any significant difference? In Genesis 3:1-6, we see Satan talking to Eve in much the same way God talks to Adam in Genesis 2:16 and 17. Not only that, Satan uses God's words to deceive Eve. For this, we can conclude that Satan is a deceiver. Here's how Jesus describes Satan in John 8:44. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in truth because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. Jesus identifies him, Satan, as the devil. He describes him as a murderer. He establishes that he is a liar and the father of lies. So this lying serpent wants Eve to believe that he knows better what is best for her than God does. Here is Satan's method of operation. First, he uses others as mediums, as he did the serpent. Second, he starts his conversation with a question. He asks Eve a question that seemed pretty innocent, but he asks it in a sneaky way with the intent of confusing or causing confusion between what God said and her understanding of what God really meant. Then he tries to get Eve to doubt God's real intent for her and her husband. He wants her to doubt whether God really have their best interest at heart. Then finally, he outright declares that the words of God are false. Remember, Satan is a liar. Satan tells Eve two lies. The first lie is about death, and he lies about good and evil. We understand from Genesis 2:17 that God tells Adam that he will die for sure if he eats the forbidden fruit, right? But Satan, on the contrary, in Genesis 3:4, tells Eve that she will not surely die. God tells Adam not to eat the fruit in Genesis 2:17, but Satan encourages Eve to eat the fruit. He gives her the impression that by eating the fruit, it will make her the same as God. The sad story is Eve believed Satan's lies. She believes that if she eats the fruit, 1, she will live forever. 2, she will become the same as God. Believing these lies and distrusting God, Eve disobeys God and eats the fruit. How does Eve behave after eating the fruit? How do we behave after disobeying God? We certainly do not want to be in his presence. As soon as Eve disobeyed God, she behaves as if God is dead. She acts as if God does not exist. Even worse, she behaves as if she herself is God. Her change in behavior actually occurs before she eats the fruit. There was a change in her thinking, and the change in her thinking resulted in a change in her behavior. So Eve looks at the fruit and evaluates it. She saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. Genesis 3:6. Similarly, God said the same thing at the end of each day when he created heaven and earth. God, in his evaluation of his creation in Genesis 1:4, saw that it was good. Ancient Egyptian and Greek religious practices accept and continue these two lies of Satan. Their leaders taught that human beings are immortal. They believe that when people die, they do not really die because their souls live on eternally. These religious teachers taught that immortality was a divine attribute. Thus, to obtain immortality, people should seek to become gods. This teaching is contrary to the Bible. However, sad to say, these false teachings eventually became part of the Jewish and Christian religion. Today, therefore, many churches believe that people do not die, but live on with disembodied spirits. In other words, They are not asleep in the grave waiting for Christ to return as expressed in the Bible, but exist in the form of a spirit that makes visits to people on earth. This we see in many ghost stories on TV and in movies. However, what does the Bible teach happens when we die? It says in 1 Thessalonians 4:13 through 18, but I do not want you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning those who have fallen asleep, lest you sorrow as others who have no hope. For if you believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who sleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the words of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain till the coming of the Lord will by no means precede those who are asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and thus we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. Thus, those that die are asleep. They are waiting in the graves for the shout of the voice of the archangel, at which time the dead that died in the Lord will awake. It's imperative that we know the truth and not be deceived by Satan's lies. The truth as it is in the Bible keeps us safe from Satan's lies. What did Adam and Eve do once they disobeyed God? Find out in part 4, Naked Before God.